everyone. Today we are going to be talking who I think will be the main villain of the Blue Beetle movie. So let's get started. My first prediction is the villain Madman. I could see him being the main villain by him wanting to destroy the new Blue Beetle because he hated Ted Kord, and I think that could work. But I think Madman is somewhat likely to be the main villain of the Blue Beetle movie. So, my next prediction is the villain La Dama. I could see her being the main villain by Blue Beetle and La Dama knowing each other's secret identities, though Brenda does not know that her aunt is a crime lord. I could see them both liking each other at some point of this movie and then fighting each other because of something that happened, then that would make her the main villain of this movie. I honestly think La Dama is likely to be the main villain of this DCU film. My next prediction is Carapax. I could this character being the main villain of this film because in the comics, Conrad Carapax's rival Dan Garrett died as the Blue Beetle on Pago Island, at the hands of Jarvis Kord's robots. His friend Ted Kord, who was with him, was the one originally to convince him to investigate Pago Island, and also the nephew of Jarvis, promised to take up the mantle of the Blue Beetle. A long time later Conrad, who was jealous of Dan, went to Pago Island to find out what was so important on that island that Dan would risk his life. After months of searching, he discovered Jarvis Kord's laboratory. In a fluke accident he transferred his brain into one of Jarvis Kord's droids by touching a wire. This is how he became Carapax the Indestructible Man. So, I think that Carapax is likely to be the main villain of this movie. My next prediction is Paco Testis. I could see this character being the main villain because in the comics, when Jamie disappeared for a year he was questioned by the cops and released. He heard Brenda was almost beaten to death by her father, that a week later died in a DO. Brenda herself was taken in by her aunt Tia Amparo. Paco visited her now and then in that year. With his best friend gone and Brenda living in another city, he eventually joined the posse. While he wasn't an extra like the other posses, he proved himself a worthy member. So, I honestly would say that this character is unlikely to be the main villain of this movie because he just doesn't really fit to be the main villain of this movie, and that is why he is unlikely. So my final prediction is the villain Black Beetle. I could see him being the main villain of the movie because in the comics, Black Beetle appears to Booster Gold in a time sphere and offers him a chance to go back in time and save his best friend, Ted Kord, from his death at the hands of Maxwell Lord, despite Rip Hunter's claims that Ted's death is a point of solidified time and thus cannot be altered. Booster agrees to go along with Black Beetle, who has also recruited Dan Garrett, the first Blue Beetle, and Jamie Reyes, the current Blue Beetle, for the mission. The group are successful in rescuing Ted, and he and Booster return to the present. Upon their return, however, they learn that the timeline has been altered, and that Max and his own Max are policing the whole world. So I think that Black Beetle is very unlikely to be the main villain of this movie because I think he is too powerful, and I think he is like a Young Justice, Teen Titans or Titans, or even a Justice League level threat in my opinion. So that is why I think Black Beetle is very unlikely to be the main villain of the Blue Beetle movie. Anyway, out of all Blue Beetle villains I said, I think that La Dama will be the main villain of this movie because I think it would be a great driven emotional story Blue Beetle goes through as character because he will have to fight someone he has been friends with for a very long time in order to save whatever he is saving. I think that would be good, and it also would be similar to the Miles Morales PS4 or PS5 game storyline, which was a good storyline. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time.